Again, Mark here from Talkingbass. This week we're going to look at some lines from the master of 80s choo-choo train slap bass, Mark King. It's the song Hot Water by Level 42, and I'll be breaking down 4 of the main lines from the tune. So get ready for a bass workout in both your thumb and your fingers. As always, the lesson material is all there over at talkingbass.net. Just click that link in the info below. Also like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Then also remember to check out the free Talkingbass membership over at the website, where you'll find a whole community of over 100,000 bass players chatting in the forums and groups, as well as the other learning resources and downloads like the scale reference manual ebook. Remember, it's all free, so just sign up today and join a great bass community. So it's worth mentioning that this song, both on the record and live, has a synth playing along with that main galloping slap riff. Some people like it, some don't, but it does fill out the low end of the song and allows for Mark to play around quite a bit without losing the bottom end, especially in those chorus riffs, as you'll see. So there are 4 main riffs to this song, and the cool thing about learning riff bass lines is that once you have the main set of riffs down, you'll be very close to learning the whole song. So first up, let's look at the intro line. It's about 113 beats per minute, and it sounds like this. So I've transcribed the song here in the key of E major, but bear in mind it's more of an E mixolydian vibe with those flat 7ths in there, you know, for that dominant 7 feel, and there are some minor 3rds in there too from time to time. But don't worry about modes or any of that stuff. Those flat 7ths and 3rds are just there for flavour and the vibe. Now, there are many different ways to play this line. I've seen it transcribed a bunch of different ways, and I've seen Mark King played a few different ways as well, although it is hard to see exactly what he's doing on live recordings. I've transcribed it with a fingering that works the most progressive in working down the fretboard, and the way I feel is the easiest to get under the fingers. If you have any other fingerings that you like, then go for it. This is just my personal favourite. So very slowly we have. So we begin with this line up at the top. So we start up on this G natural 12th fret of the G string. We work up chromatically, G, G sharp, A. So 12th, 13th and 14th frets. Then back to the G natural at the 12th fret and up to the G sharp. Okay, so it's all just there, 12, 13, 14, then 12, 13, and then we drop down to the tonic there on the E at the 14th fret of the D string. Then I'm going to drop down to the B here at the 9th fret of the D string. You could play it here at the 14th fret of the A string, but I like jumping down so that we're in position for the next part. So, and then down to the G natural at the 10th fret of the A string. So you want to get that bit down first. In terms of the technique there, I'm just using the first 3 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then the first and second fingers as I move down. In the picking hand, I'm starting on the index finger. The picking hand is very important in this. So alternate. And then when we get back to that G sharp there, transitioning down onto the D string, I'm raking with the first finger. Okay, leaving us to play the B and the G there, second finger, first finger. Okay. And obviously you've got to make this shift down to the B. Next up we have this little move. Okay, so we've got A to B, 7th to 9th fret on the D string, which I'm playing as a hammer on there. And then G down to the E, so 10th fret down to the 7th fret on the A string. And I'm picking both of those. And you really want to be picking that, starting the picking there with the second finger. So then we've got 2, and then 1, 2. So all of that together now. Next we play the same line that we did up at the top, but an octave down, starting at the G natural 5th fret of the D string. So we have, okay, so 5th, 6th, 7th fret on the D string, then 5th and 6th again, so G to the G sharp, down to the E 7th fret of the A string, and then down to the B 2nd fret of the A string, and then the G at the 3rd fret of the E string. Same fingering in everything, starting on the first finger. So alternate, rake as you move on to the A string, and then you've got 2nd, 1st fingers there for the B down to the G. So. Then we finally finish up with, so we've got open A string to the B there at the 2nd fret, and then down to the G, 3rd fret of the E string, open E string, and then you can take the E either at the 2nd fret of the D string or the 7th fret of the A string. I like taking it at the 7th fret of the A string, so that if you want to, you can hit a chord. I mean, I'm just playing the single note there, but if you wanted to play the chord, you've got it there, okay? So, okay, so all of that very slowly. Then you can just build up speed slowly, and once you get it up to speed, you can start playing along to the backing track. I've provided 3 tracks here, 93, 103, and 113 beats per minute. So let's try at 93 beats per minute. Now let's try 103 beats per minute. And finally 113 beats per minute. Okay, next let's have a look at the main slap riff from the song, which sounds like this. So for the first bar, we have the following. Okay, there's only 3 notes in here. Open E string, then D and E, 5th and 7th frets on the A string. But it's how you put all of this together. So what you need to do here is slap the open E string, then choke that off. So I've got the first finger here, the index finger, lined up over the 5th fret of the A, D, and G strings, okay? So many of you that have seen my other slapping lessons will know about the home position I talk about, where we lay that finger across there, and then these 3 fingers are here ready to do all of this choking and ghost notes and all of that stuff. So just put that first finger laid there lightly across the A, D, and G strings so that you kind of get harmonics when you play it. Then bring these 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers down. So that's the home position that we're starting in. When we play the open E string, we lift those fingers, so, and then we just bring them back down again to choke off, so. Okay, and when you choke off, what you'll hear is that little kind of bang, okay? So it's more of a kind of forceful choke. We're not pushing down, we're not hammering on, we're just bringing them down enough to choke. So open E string, choke, leave the hand there, and then you just play those 2 ghost notes. That's the first move. Just get used to doing that. Okay, and what you'll actually hear when you eventually get to play the full riff is, because we've got that choke there on the 2nd of the 16ths, what you actually end up hearing is the gallop. Bum chicka bum chicky bum chicky bum chicky, okay? So after that little move, we slap the D at the 5th fret of the A string, hammer on at the E at the 7th fret. So. Okay, so that's the first part. Then we just play 2 ghost notes again after that. So. And then we're back to the start of the line. So. Okay, and that's the basis of that first bar. For the second bar, we have the following. Okay, so it's the same rhythmic idea, but we're working down A and G there on the E string. So we start with A, 5th fret of the E string, and then we play the 2 ghost notes. Now I'm fretting that A with the 2nd finger, so that puts us in place, in position for the next move. So play the A, 2 ghost notes, then slap the F sharp at the 4th fret of the D string and hammer on to the G. Now on some of the early concerts by level 42, you will see him actually popping that. And it does sit nicely for that. But everything since, midway through the 80s, you just see him slapping it. Unsure why that is. I think it might be down to the actual tone of it so that it blends better. Whereas when you pop it, maybe it's too much accent on that F sharp. So, okay. So after the hammer on, we've got 2 ghost notes again on the E string. And then we move all of that down 2 frets down to the G. And the hammer on is at the E to the F up at the 2nd to 3rd fret on the D string. So, and then we're back at the start of the riff. So all of that very slowly. So that's bars 1 and 2, but there is a variation on this for bars 3 and 4, and it all takes place in bar 3. So there we have this. Okay, so starts out just as it did in bar 1. Then we have a pop on the high D there, 7th fret of the G string, hammering on to the E at the 9th fret. Back to the 2 ghost notes. And then back down to the hammer on at the 5th to 7th fret on the A string. So let's put all of that together, which sounds like this. Just as a little technical tip on the A to G section of that riff, you can actually use the thumb of the fretting hand to help out with the ghost notes. So when I play the A with that 2nd finger, I then shift up to play the F sharp to G with the 1st to 2nd fingers, and I just bring the thumb round slightly to help deaden off that E string. So as I'm making that shift, because I've got to put 2 ghost notes in there, I've got the thumb there, just sort of touching on the side of the string. Okay? So as always, you just want to start slowly and build up speed. I've only provided one backing track at 113 beats per minute for this main riff because you can just build up speed with it in your own time. And let's have a look at how that sounds. Next, let's look at the chorus riff, which is basically the same as the verse riff, but with a little doubling of the vocal melody in there. So with the practice track, we have... So we begin just as we did in the first riff with open E string, 2 ghost notes, and then we have. So we've got this little grace note of A at the 14th fret of the G string, hammering on into the B at the 16th fret. So we're popping that first finger. So it's just this little hammer on there, and then we're back to the A at the 14th fret. So this goes along with the vocal melody. And then we have another grace note, G up to the A, so pop the G, hammer on to the A, so, okay. And then you can either play the G there at the 12th fret, so, or play a little trill with the first and second fingers on the G to the G sharp, 12th to the 13th fret. Depends on whether on what live version you're seeing of this, but okay. So all of that. In between those notes, you can put a little ghost note in. So just before the trill, you can just bring the thumb down onto the E string. So. We finish that bar with a single open E string, so, and then it leads us into the second bar, just as we did in the first riff. So, at the beginning of this lesson, I talked about the synth line that doubles that galloping bass line. And at this point, it still continues with the... And that helps with keeping the low end in there while he's playing, because otherwise everything would drop out. So having that synth in there really, really helps. So let's have a listen to that with the practice track. Next, let's have a look at the middle 8 riff, which sounds like this. So we begin on a B 2nd fret of the A string, slapped. So then we just choke off or play a little ghost note on the 2nd 8th note. So then we move up to the D 5th fret of the A string, and we have a little gallop on there with 2 ghost notes. So, and then we have the D up to the E, which you can either hammer on or slide. I think Mark generally slides it. So we've got the D 5th fret sliding up to the 7th fret. Then we hit the open E string, slapped, and then the E at the 9th fret of the G string. So if you've slid up with the first finger there to that E, you'll be in position ready for it with the 4th finger, just as the octave. So that's the first part. And then just hit the open E string at the end just to bring you around. So. Next we have, so this is 2 major 10th intervals. We've got A up to the C sharp and G up to the B. So A 5th fret of the E string and the C sharp at the 6th fret of the G string. Slap, pop. Okay, and I'm using the 2nd finger and 4th finger for that. Okay, which is a little bit, might seem a little bit odd, but it just seems to fit naturally after I've played the part before. You can play it with the 1st and 4th fingers, but I just feel in this riff, in that position, it just fits nicely with the 2nd and 4th fingers. Try whichever one you want. So. and then we just take the whole thing down 2 frets, down to G and the B, 3rd fret E string, the 4th fret on the G string. So remember to cut those notes up on the G string short. So you keep those E strings long, and then pop staccato up on the top. So you don't want this. You don't want both short, you just want the top one nice and sharp. So, okay, so all of that. Then we simply have an 8th note rest and this D chord. So I'm playing here D, A, and D. 5th fret A string, and then 7th fret on the D and the G string, which I'm playing with the 1st and 4th fingers there. And you just let those fingernails strum down. So. Okay, remember to have that little gap of an 8th note in between. Okay, and you're going to have to mute off the E string. Otherwise you're going to get that open E in there. So you can either put the thumb on the E string and then play the chords, or you can try and mute off with the thumb, so or whatever finger, okay? So you could use the 2nd finger there. So there I've got the 2nd finger extending across to just lay nicely against the E string. Or, like I said, put your thumb on the E string and then strum. So that's the whole of that riff, so very slowly. And then just build up speed. And with the practice track. Lastly, we have the keyboard solo section where Mark King plays this tricky little line that you won't hear on the live versions. It's only there on the original single. So let's have a listen to that. So we begin with this little move. Okay, so we've got the G sharp down to the F sharp, 13th fret down to the 11th fret of the G string, and this is a pull off. So you need to put the 1st finger there, the index finger, on the F sharp at the 11th fret of the G string, hold it down there in place, so that's fretted, then put the 2nd finger there, the middle finger, at the G sharp at the 13th fret, pop that note, and then just bring the finger off the side of the string to pull off back to the F sharp. So that's the first move. The next part, we have 2 E's there at the 14th fret of the D string, and there's a choice here. You can either hammer on the first one just out of nowhere with the 3rd finger, or you can fret it and play them both slapped. So either way, you've got to slap the 2nd one. So then we have the rest of that line. So then we've got these D's here at the 12th fret of the D string, and a ghost note in there before we have the D to E and back. So 12th fret to 14th fret and back. So when you play the D to the E, you'll probably be hammering that on. Hammer on from the D to the E, and then you're slapping the D after. After that first part of the line, we've got this move. Okay, so we've got 2 ghost notes on the D string, And then we have 2 Ds at the 12th fret of the D string. So, okay, so we've got 4 slaps in a row there at speed, so it's quite tricky. Then we cross hammer, or just hammer on out of nowhere, with the 3rd finger down onto the B at the 14th fret. See, I'm not using this hand at all there for the B. And then we slap at the D at the 12th fret again. Okay, so this is a good way of making these little melodic lines by hammering on just one time on another string. So, okay, so. For the next part of the line, we come down B, A, G, and E. So 14th fret, 12th fret, 10th fret on the A string, and then the 12th fret on the E string. So, okay, so we've got offbeat 16ths to begin with, and then we have 2 16th notes when we get to the G and the E. So, okay, so that's the rhythm. And I'm cross hammering again for that E. So, okay, so I'm just hammering on out of nowhere on that E at the 12th fret. Okay, so it makes these cross hammers make it a lot easier to play at speed across the strings with melodic lines. Then we finish up with a D to E hammer on. So we slap the D at the 10th fret of the E string, hammer on at the 12th fret. So, and then we have a ghost note on the E string and then an open G string. Okay, and this is on the final 16th note of the bar, which gives it this syncopated feel. So. Okay, so then we're just back to the beginning of the line again, but because we played the pop on the G at the final 16th note of the bar, we can't pop again on the first beat of the bar. So that just means that you can either hammer on or slap that first note. So. Okay, and it's just round and round. So from a technical standpoint, this is probably the trickiest line in the whole song, so you're going to have to take this pretty slow. So even if it's this slow, you know, you just take it at that speed and just gradually build up speed. So once you're up to speed, it should sound like this with the track. Okay, so that's Hot Water. Be sure to leave a comment to let me know what other Mark King or Level 42 lines that you'd like to learn. Remember, the lesson material and tracks are all there over at Talkingbass, so just click that link in the info below. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and sign up to the Talkingbass network and membership to gain access to a massive community of like-minded bass players and a ton of bass practice resources and downloads. Okay? I'll see you next week.